You an example of what I was talking about in the last video, seeing as I was cut off. I went and talked to my urologist and my neurologist. I'm having symptoms and my kidneys are really bad. I'm not able to stand up with them getting really hurtful, and then I have to squat. Also, I'm shaking really bad and I'm not able to really talk well. So before I try to go someplace with flashing lights and people going by me and sitting in the hallway and all this other people and loud noises and another person here and another person here and another person here and stand up over there and sit over here and stand up. Before we do that, I call my urologist and my neurologist. I tell them, I'm having some difficulty and I think I need to go to the emergency room. It's getting worse and I'm really bad. They say, yeah, we think so too. I tell them the difficulty I'm having with the emergency rooms. They say, we'll call in advance. I say, okay, great. I go, so I'm just getting a CT scan and some blood work. That's it. My neurologist also, I let them know what's going on too. I then wait for a ride to bring me to the emergency room. Why? Because when I call an ambulance, they don't know what to do. They try to get me to hop up and down, do jumping jacks, stuff like that, or they say they're not going to bring me, go down flights of stairs, they lap, circle up, whatever. So I don't need to be traumatized by assholes right now. I've even had an EMT stab me in the arm until I'm bleeding on the ceiling on purpose when there's nothing they need from me. I was just high on pot. I'm 13 years old, and they just want to fuck with me because I won't tell them I'm on pot. I said, none of your fucking business what I'm taking. And so he takes out a needle, stabs me in the arm until I'm bleeding on the ceiling. Real great. So these guys are assholes. Most of the time, they're not even simple people with training. They don't realize that if you do that to the wrong person, they hunt you down to your house and chop you into pieces. Yeah, I've met these people when I was living in the woods. Yeah, Rick and Tammy. Rick got murdered by Dave, Fat Dave. Why? Because he just hit his wife. That's it. You don't fuck around. Georgie, why did Georgie get a beating? Actually, he didn't do anything. He got blamed for taking drugs, and then they found the drugs. That's why I'm not even sure if he really took any drugs because they found the drugs they were blaming him on. They go, oh, here's the needle right here in the morning. It was so dark they couldn't find it. They found the fucking needle the whole time. That's disgusting shit. And then this guy almost died, and I had to intervene. It was so bad. So this shit is crazy. You stab somebody in the arm on purpose, or you fucking play games like that, people do track you down eventually, or do horrible things. And see, people think they're untouchable because they work as an EMT, or they work for the Department of Health and Human Services, or they're a landlord, or they're somebody who has money and attorneys. But there's a lot of psychos out there. I've had them hurt me. My mother was one of them. She's a complete psycho. You tell her off, and she slips drugs into your food. I mean, oh my God, my mother drugged the shit out of me. I told the doctor once that I wanted help, and my mother decided that the best thing to do was pill me up for my own adoption party and traffic me across the country so that all doctors and teachers would be cut off. Don't fuck around with these people. They're nuts. They're nuts. They've hurt me several times. I've seen them, and I'm about to be pushed off the grid to go have to live with these people forever, making $0 for the rest of my life. So just keep that in mind. These people are completely nuts. I mean, for me, I just want to work, collect Social Security, help others, build a support group, stuff like that. That's all I want to do. But I'm not allowed. What do you mean you're not allowed? Well, I get injured. When I go to the doctors, they won't treat me. When I go to Social Security or try to apply, or when I try to apply for food stamps or cash benefits, it works at first, but then as soon as they read or get information from my father or mother, they cut off all communication with me. They will not do a damn thing with me. And they won't even tell me why. Because they can't tell me, we think you're lying and you're some liar and fantasy spinner and you're making up all your illnesses. But that's what my father told them. And then he just printed out a bunch of stuff that he paid to get. Like, for instance, my mother used to spin stories to psychiatrists, like take my swimming medals in and try to make them into an illness. Oh yeah, he has attachment disorder, he's a thief, he's a liar, he's kleptomania, he's psycho, and look, he's telling you a fantasy. He thinks he won this medal in the orphanage. Huh, no, he's trying to hurt me. See his name on the back? That's his old name. He wrote that on there to hurt me, so he has attachment disorder too. Oh yeah, you should get all the yeah. He's down like that because he's depressed all the time. Yeah, see how down he looks. Meanwhile, my mother's giving me pills and slipping me downers to try to make me look down in front of people in my own adoption party, but leaving out the context. Shit like that isn't proof. It's a crime. Any paperwork that my father has, he should be sharing with me, not trying to use against me. Any statements my father has, he should be sharing with me, and then I tell my worker. If he's going around my back and talking shit about my back, that's a knuckle sandwich on the streets. If you talk shit and make up a story about somebody behind their back, like you call their worker and you tell them to stop helping them in some way, or if you called them a liar or a fantasy spinner, oh, oof, you don't do that. If I was in the shelter and I met somebody else's worker, and then I called their worker, and I said to that worker all these different made up stories that were just based upon information I got from my wife, and I did not have a discussion with the person I'm telling stories about, that person would come out of nowhere and stab me right in the kidney. Absolutely. I've seen worse happen to people for less in those shelters. You do not tell stories about somebody and cut off all doctors and all Social Security. You fuck with somebody's income, you fuck with their livelihood, they come after you. I'm not kidding. If you fuck with somebody's job, Social Security, cash benefits, oh my God, they'll fuck you up. You steal somebody's cash benefits on their card, they'll murder you on the streets. Absolutely. If you steal somebody's cash benefits, like you stole somebody's food stamp card, swiped and wiped out their cash benefits, you're getting murdered now. I've seen it. When I was living on the streets, people got their heads smashed in for less. There was a kid about 20 who everybody said looked like me, and I saw him. He did look like me. Blonde hair, short blonde hair, skinny, small guy. Died because they stomped in his head until his brains were squirting out the side. Now, we walked by across the street, and I don't know what the situation is, but according to everybody I talked to, he just got stomped out, wrong place, wrong time. But very well could have been he spent somebody's food stamp money or cash benefits or Social Security, or somebody lost their job because somebody told a story to their boss. That happens a lot too. Like if you had sex with a hooker and then the hooker wants double payment and you say no, single payment, and then that hooker goes into your job and gets you fired and then gets in your face, ha 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 ha. Then the guy just grabs her by the neck, puts her into the river, and drowns her. I mean, I've seen crazy ass shit. And you have to report this shit. And what's even worse is then they come after you. It is bad. It is bad, bad, bad out there. And I'm going getting pushed right back on the grid to live like that. That's going to be the rules I have to live by. I don't want to live by those rules. It's dangerous out there. And I don't commit any crimes. The problem is I follow Jesus, what puts a target on my back. I believe in telling the truth, filing police reports, trying to help others, talking to others. If I don't understand something, I'm going to have to ask more questions. I don't tell stories about anybody. I don't talk behind somebody's back. If I'm going to file a police report, I go to the individual first who I'm going to file against. If I'm going to talk shit about my father, I call my father and try to handle it with him first. Like if my father wants to talk shit about me, he just does it. But if I want to say something about my father to a DMH worker, I try to handle it with my father first. I've spent year after year after year after year waiting for my father to handle this while not telling a soul what he did to me. I'm done. I'm done waiting for my father to handle this. He's got over 300 chances here. And he's still doing it to me. He's still talking shit behind my back. He's still trying to hurt me. And he's still trying to get me killed. This is fucked up shit. No, no. I mean, he's lucky that I believe in Jesus and respect, and I'm just here with open arms with forgiveness for him. That's me. But if my father ever lost his money and had to live in a poor apartment or a two-bedroom or in a studio or near any downtown area that was poor, I don't think he would survive with his attitude, not without his attorneys present. With the poor rules, he just couldn't do it. If he doesn't have at least $800 an hour and a $22,000 deposit, if my father did not have that, I don't think he would survive. Don't think he would be able to do it. I've done it year after year after year. I don't think my father could take the pills either that he put into me. I really don't. Could my father take a high dose of Seroquel, Thorazine, Trazodone, all this like he gave me at 7 years old? Could he take all those pills he forced into me at 7 years old? I don't think so. I think he would really lose it. I think my father would lose his frickin' mind on all those pills. He wouldn't even know how to dress himself. No way. He couldn't handle it. No way. Not even at a younger age. There's no way my father would ever, any time in his life, be able to handle what he put me through. But yet he wants to continue. And now I asked for an extension in court, yet I am my lawyer and my roommate's lawyer. Yeah, I'm a lawyer now. Apparently, not only am I I'm an accountant. I answer the phones for my roommate. I literally do. I'm a house cleaner. I'm a worker. I'm disabled. I'm supposed to be on Social Security. I'm not able to work. I do everything, but yet I'm nothing. What the fuck? How am I supposed to be my own attorney? I mean, I can talk good, I can study, I can ask questions, but there's no way I can write proper, read proper, any of that type of stuff. So there's no way. I need an attorney. My roommate needs an attorney. All I was able to do is push this out. We were about to lose everything today. Yes, today was our court date. This is the good one. This is me asking to withhold rent against the landlord. I have no clue how this stuff works. We need an attorney, but yet we don't get one. I don't know what to do here. If we had an attorney, it's very simple. Give him everything, move forward. But if I had an attorney, I also have a lot of other issues. I have medical papers. Yes, I do. I have medical papers. And what I mean by that is I have letters that say I was on Renadine that was recalled and that I can collect money for. I was also on recalled, I can't remember the name of it, but it had steel shards in it. I have a letter from them saying that I might be one of the people that took this batch. I also was given Seroquel. Now there's been awarded money to anybody overprescribed for things like sleep. If you were prescribed Seroquel for bipolar, then no. But if you were prescribed Seroquel for sleep, then you might have been overprescribed. I was prescribed the max dose for sleep. Not only was I prescribed Seroquel, I was prescribed Seroquel, Thorazine, and Trazodone, all put together with Lamictal, Risperidone that was making my nipples leak milk, and nobody did a thing for me. And now they're awarding money to all the victims of this stuff, and that's me. That's absolutely me. That's easy to prove. But I don't get to prove it once again. My father does not want me living a decent life. I would need my social security and I would need the correct records. What means there needs to be a therapist that has the correct records. Well, that requires an attorney present, thanks to my mother and father. I need to go to a doctor and they need to base their records off of only what I tell them. That requires my father to stop lying to them whenever they ask him a question. It requires when I need to apply for cash benefits and Social Security, that means that requires getting the information from my old Social Security cases and then knowing which part of it was messed up and why. But my father's never going to allow any of that. He likes the idea of Zach dies in the woods with $0. I get to go on vacations, cruises, and hang out with friends and family members. And nobody ever finds out my dirty little secret about my second wife. And all those records that are out there, all that proof, all that evidence, all that stuff that's out there, all that paper trail that I didn't know existed or that Zach's trying to bring me to see, all that just gets buried, right? Zach dies, I get to party and have fun with friends and family and go on cruises and drink myself to my last future. And nobody gives a fuck, right? He's just an orphan, anyways. I mean, who cares? That's his plan. So I'm done. That's not how it's going to end. He thinks that's what it's going to end. That's his plan. I'm just eventually going to move into the woods, find a job someplace, and just live in a tent someplace for the rest of my life. And now I'll be happy with that, he thinks. And when I try to go to the doctors and I'm denied help because of him, That doesn't matter to me. And the fact that I can't collect Social Security for my actual disabilities because he collected on fake disabilities, that's not going to matter to me either, he thinks. Oh, that doesn't matter. I'm just going to sit there quietly in the woods, not taking this up with him or any other family members. He thinks that a restraining order and yelling at me and trying to call me crazy and trying to report that I'm crazy to all my workers is going to help. No, it's not. You can talk to Rochester all you want. I'm just going to be moving to another state and another state and another state until I'm dead. I don't want to move. I want to stay and handle this. I want this handled once and for all. I want this done and over with. I do not want to deal with his wife's bullshit anymore. She's been dead since 2011. There's no reason for him to continue allowing her to hurt me. But yet, that's what he wants. He did it. He let her do it right in front of him. My nephew knows it. My other brother knows it. My sister knows it. My sister heard my mother say, "It's okay to give him extra medication." Yes, I gave him extra medication, so what? My nephew has seen her smack me around and give me pills like crazy. My brother also knew that she was crazy and that she was giving me lots of pills and smacking me around. My father knew this as well. At age 7, everybody thought I might die because I was so underweight and I had such an eating disorder and I was afraid of food because I was afraid of anything going in my mouth and making me any sicker than I was. I also had no appetite thanks to my mother randomly drugging me all the time. This is really bad. Really, really bad. I have traumatic memories and I'll have to live with them, and I don't get to tell a soul. Every time I tell anybody about my PTSD, my father's going to act like it's a fantasy and a lie. So I never even get to share it. I can share it with a therapist, but that doesn't help fucking nothing. I need actual physical help like epilepsy medications, Social Security, cash benefits. They need to know what's going on with me. They need to know my past, and then I can move on and go to work and move on with a future life. Also, I have forgiveness in my heart for my father, but he keeps on taking that and smashing on the round, going, "No, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. You're a liar. You're a fantasy. You're mentally ill. You're mentally ill. You're mentally ill. No, you're mentally ill, Zach. No, you're mentally ill." Dad, you're acting mental as you call me mental. You're lying as you call me a liar, and you're feeding into your dead wife's fantasies as you say that I'm believing in fantasy. I'm basing my facts off real facts. When I show everybody a seizure and the pictures of me all bloody from the seizure, when people are pulling me off the street and I'm waking up in hospitals, when I wake up from all these different types of injuries and I'm having falls and I'm having trouble moving my body, and my father saw this at age 7. He was reported, my doctors and teachers reported to my father that I had problems moving my body, and he saw it continue to happen over and over and over. Now, maybe my father didn't see it in New Mexico, but that's his fault. That's his fault, not mine. He only spent 1 hour a month for 18 months. That was his choice. Maybe he didn't see it in Maine because he left me with his second wife just acting crazy all the time. That's his fault. Maybe he didn't see it, but he should have in Maine because I did fall to the ground screaming from cold and fireworks and noises, covering my ears, shaking on the ground. He knew every time it got cold, I had a problem. Then, how about in Massachusetts? Do you think that? Nope, once again, my father let other people and moved me around so much that as soon as people realized I had problems moving my body, my mother would call it some type of mental illness, and then I would just move to another location as soon as people were starting to figure it out. And then I'm being lied to as well. So I have no idea. I'm not allowed to talk to doctors. The people who are adults that are trying to help me with this, my mother's cutting them off as quick as they come. And my father wants to continue cutting off anybody who tries to help me. I've stayed in Rochester, New Hampshire for 6 to 7 years. I was starting to get help. They talked to my father and they cut me off. Once again. Motherfucker. Once again, I get to live in pain, have seizures on the side of the road. I mean, I've literally had a tire almost run over my fucking head because I had a seizure on the side of the road during winter, walking home from work, almost died And when I woke up, all I could think is my father could stop this anytime he wants by just telling the truth. Instead, he wants to feed in the fantasies, lie, manipulate, and then call me a fantasy spinner, call me a liar, and feed into it. All because I don't have money to hire a bunch of psychiatrists and lawyers. If I did, then I could do the same thing he's doing. I could hire a bunch of psychiatrists, hire a bunch of doctors. I could have somebody drive me all the way to 2.5 hours away. But no, I can't drive due to my disabilities. No, I can't make money due to my disabilities. So I never get to get a lawyer. I never get to get to see a doctor that's proper. Wow, so my father's just going to keep on throwing his money doctors in my face. Hey, I paid a bunch of doctors to write down anything my wife said, so that proves everything. Well, how about listening to the patient? That's number one. How about listening to the motherfucking patient? How about listening to your sons and daughters? I mean, let me see. My father's son said there was a problem with his second wife. His daughter said there was a problem with his second wife. His adopted son said there was a problem with his second wife. His grandson said there was a problem with his second wife. And his stepson said there was a problem with his second wife. Is there anybody else? Wait a minute. That is everybody. That's everybody. Oh shit, that's everybody. Oh, so either every single person in the world who saw that his second wife was doing stuff to me, they all got their own problems going on, and your wife is fine though, right? Everybody else is wrong, not that one person. It's not the one person that might have a problem, it's everybody else, right? That's crazy talk, Dad. That's crazy. Everybody's brought this up to you. Everybody at one point said, I mean, they saw your wife almost stomp me on a carpet during Christmas. The whole family. I think even Rebecca was there. Don't tell me I'm psycho and then let me suffer for your mistake. I'm not putting up with that. And I literally went to court today, and because of my father's mistakes, I can't even function and write a letter. Things are not going well. But if my father just told the truth last year when I asked him to, they would be a lot better. I would be getting better medical care. The Department of Health and Human Services would be working with me. I certainly would be writing a letter better. And none of this would be happening in the first place, most likely, because if I do have a seizure and I get out of work, there are ways to pay my bills if my father's not lying and he's telling the truth about my disabilities. Because Department of Health and Human Services can help with that. So there's a million different reasons why this is happening and how things could be better. But of course, like I said, when I get treatment or help based upon my father's information, I have to live in the woods like a chipmunk. When people allow me to be myself, work, live, things get better. I get apartments, I help other people out, things get way better. But if I'm not allowed to be Zachary and I have to be this fantasy person that my mother and father want to make up, then I have to live like a chipmunk and an animal at the woods because they want to treat me like an animal and make sure that I'm not able to collect Social Security, work, use a shelter, drive a car, or even walk outside during winter. And without those abilities and an apartment to rent, I'm fucked. And I can't get Section 8 housing either. If I apply for Section 8 housing, they want to know what my disabilities are. Oopsie, once again, we run into this problem. My real disabilities are real, but the disabilities my father and mother have reported are fake. But my real disabilities doesn't have paperwork, and my mother's and father's fake disabilities come with paperwork. That's a problem. No Section 8 for Zach. So I get to live in the woods like an animal. Oh, what fun, dying from 0 degrees weather and having seizures on a daily basis and having people try to rape you and robbing your wallet so you never have an ID and you wake up with no shoes and you're in the middle of the woods once again and you get thrown out of shelters and doctors are fucking around and malpracticing in you and using you as a cash cow because you have state insurance and whatever else your father wants for you. Meanwhile, if your father just told the truth and handled this with his son could just go back to work, live a normal life, make a living, get an apartment. He could even file charges against the people that are hurting them. But until that day happens, I don't get to have any rights. People get to rape me, beat me, do whatever they want to me, and no matter how I call the police, no matter how I report it, no matter how I'm brought to the emergency room, I will never get health care, never get Social Security, never get justice, never get anything back, never get to work, never get to drive, never get to live indoors. Oh, and I don't get to use shelters either. And the longer this is allowed to continue, the more likely I'll never be able to walk again or talk again. And talking is the only thing I can really do to help this. And so as I lose more and more ability to have motor functions, or the more head injuries I receive, the less likely it is for me to get this handled, even no matter what happens. So the best thing to do is handle this right now, me and my father and my family, but I haven't heard from them anything to do with this. They can drive up to my apartment anytime they want. Apartment 3J. Knock on my door. My sister has my phone number. My father has my phone number. But I guess I'm going off the grid and coming to them. I guess they're not going to call me. They're not going to deal with this with me. So I guess I got to be pushed off the grid. And then I'm going to have to somehow find some way to deal with this halfway broken, bleeding in the woods. I don't know how the fuck, but I'll have to go to them somehow. I don't know how that, but first of all, I gotta try to heal my kidneys so I can actually walk. I don't know how the fuck that's gonna happen. I'm not able to walk, so I'm probably gonna die pretty quick.